What was your high school's wildest NSFW scandal? I went to a charter school in Pennsylvania. The founder stole hundreds of thousands of dollars from the school district and used it for himself. In the back of the school, he built an apartment with a stripper pole, but it was hidden in the school. You could only get to it through one door hidden in a closet. He was eventually caught stealing money, and he committed suicide. This was a year or two after I graduated, but there was this one teacher at my high school who was fired for, in no particular order of weirdness, buying booze for students, smoking weed with students, buying weed for students, buying weed from students, writing a paper for a student for a different class in exchange for weed, driving certain students who skipped school to a bar in a different city several hours away, sending a student a completely unsolicited text that said, "I've never wanted to cheat with anyone in my life, but I want to with you," offering to buy a student a $500 knife and give it to him at school, explaining it thus: "If I can walk around campus with marijuana on me, you can walk around with a shipping box with a knife in it. Kiddo, you can't walk around campus with marijuana on you." She was the scripture teacher. That position at that school, at least when I was there, was as cursed as the Defense Against the Dark Arts job at Hogwarts. The soccer coach was sleeping with 4 of the soccer players, 16 to 18 years old, 2 of them being other teachers' daughters. They had it completely secret until his wife found a journal where wrote about each time he slept with each girl on the team. At the end of the school day, we walked out, and there was 4 to 5 cop cars, and they were walking him out of his building in cuffs. If I remember correctly, the girls didn't have to come back to school for the rest of the school year. It was close to the end anyway. Everyone found out their names pretty quickly. Biggest scandal at that school in decades. The football star at my high school was accused of sexually assaulting a 4-year-old child and went to jail for it based off very little evidence. He was sentenced to 25 years. It was my junior year, and it was his senior year. He had a full-ride scholarship to play football, and he, along with everyone else, really thought he'd make it to the NFL. He served 3 years of that sentence when the county's new DA looked over his case and saw that there was basically no evidence, so he was released. This was in summer 2017, and he was officially exonerated last year. Turns out it was his best friend, who looked just like him and lived with him, who did it. Dude is doing really well now. His girlfriend stuck with him through the whole thing, and they're married now. There's actually a documentary on Showtime about it that just came out. Long story short, a student was caught having sex with a sheep at the tiny farm the school ran for the agricultural elective students. Edit. So, since it's been asked a few times, the only slightly longer part of the story was that the class was, as stated, an agriculture elective. Once a student had completed enough required worksheets, they got to go over to the farm and do some work instead of sitting in class writing. Not exactly easy, but it was nice when the weather was cool. This guy had the class for both morning sessions, so he said he'd just stay over at the farm and get a ride back at the end of the next class. Well, amongst other incidents, he was not the brightest bulb in the box. Seems he lost track of time, and the next class came walking up to the barn with him balls deep in the sheep. Word was, the sheep didn't seem to notice. We had a charity thing in high school where you'd raise money for cancer. The amount being raised was shown on a thermometer, and every limit would force a teacher to shave their head. On the very top was this French teacher. Anyways, the initiative was due to finish after lunch recess. A bunch of people are in gym shaving their heads and trying to raise money. Bills are flying down from the bleachers, and we raised just enough money right at the bell. The French teacher was not down and ran away, causing all the students to chase her into the bathroom, banging on the door and shit. She soon after had a bit of a mental breakdown. Someone at school found out her Lava Life profile, and she left. Also, some student stole all the money raised in the initiative from the gym. I think this happened right after I graduated, but I was still friends and neighbors with the PE teacher. One day while changing, one of the students thought it would be funny to shit in his own hand, carry it into the gym, and throw it at his friend who had already changed and was waiting for class to start. The teacher was too shocked to do anything at first, but it splattered off the other kid's shirt, and then that kid started projectile vomiting. It started a chain reaction, and multiple students started dry heaving and then puking onto the gym floor, running out. The gym was closed down for like 2 weeks and had to be repainted. the hardwood floors refinished. The kid who carried out the shit fest received no punishment from the school, and the teacher moved to a different school the next year. Also, the wrestling coach got arrested for possession of child pornography and inappropriate behavior with a few students. When I was a freshman, I started to secretly date a junior boy on the football team. He was embarrassed by me because I never partied and was in AP classes, chubby with big glasses, etc. Anyways, he tried to pressure me into giving him my virginity one night after his mom had taken us out for dinner. When I refused and stood up to go home, he got very angry and physically tried to keep me from leaving his room. I yelled loud enough for his older brother to hear, and brother and mom got him off of me. Mom made dude apologize and then drove me home. By the next week of school, a rumor had gone around that I was having anal sex with some of the football team. The junior boy I had dated had been the one to start this rumor, claiming that he had to break it off with me because I was obsessive. The real scandal ended up happening during a math class that I had with him. He would always make a point to sit as close to me as possible and try to make me watch him touch himself. One day, I sat in front of him so I wouldn't have to watch that show. During a movie, the lights were dimmed, and all of a sudden I feel something wet on the back of my neck and running down my back. That pervert had jerked off behind me and put his handful of cum down the back of my shirt. I jumped up and make a commotion. Fortunately, I had a couple of other girls who also came forward from different classes with this guy. All younger females, all with perverted stories about his behavior towards them. My dad made a holy hellish scene until the boy was suspended. Much more happened, but I tried to shut it all out. Shit was not flattering like dude tried to play it up as, but fucking nasty. Edit. Not a movie. It was one of the projectors common in math classes in the 1990s to 2000s. It was a push to even get him suspended. I wasn't even able to get out of having classes with him once he came back. We had this weird science teacher. He was your standard mid-50s creep, but he had a really bad stroke or something that required part of his skull to be removed. So he had this huge seam on his head from the metal plate. He used to make girls stay behind after class and wash the lab tables while watching them. It happened to me a couple times, but I was never more than just a bit creeped out. The next year, he vanished very quietly. Also, someone started a preposterous rumor that I was pregnant. My mom was 14 when she got pregnant with me, and promised to make my life a living hell if I ever got pregnant as a teen. So that ruined the rest of my teenage years with her. Thanks, high school. Worst years of my life so far. I actually witnessed this, so 2 students with mental disabilities went to the toilet together. Exactly what you think happened, happened. The teachers forced the door open to stop them. End result of this? The parents of both students each argued that neither had the capacity to give consent. Both students were sent to court on rape charges against each other. Of course, it was their parents' choice to do this. Charges were dismissed in the end, though, but that was one hell of a month for everyone in the know. We had this kid who was super pissed about his ex-girlfriend getting with a new guy, so decided he was going to kill the new guy right in front of her. Their class was all lined up outside for gym, and he walks up to the guy, goes to pull the gun out of his pants, accidentally hit the trigger, and shoots himself in the dick and through his thigh. He ran just far enough to collapse on my English teacher's doorstep. He survived. Edit. I'm sorry, folks. I honestly do not know the fate of the penis. I just remember all the parents and teachers being so concerned about the students. Oh no, a school shooting! And we were all just, what kind of fucking idiot shoots themselves in the dick? One day, we all came to school, and the front office, which was surrounded by glass, was shattered, and we all just assumed some asshole vandalizing the school. A couple of weeks later, the police came and arrested our principal and one of the vice principals. No one knew why. Turns out that one of our other vice principals, super young dude, maybe early 30s, had fingered, even made out with a girl in my class. Seniors was 17, who was also the daughter of the varsity football coach. She was dating my friend's older brother, straight degenerate druggie, and the older brother found out and came and threw a rock at the glass building. Our principal and vice principal knew and covered it up, so they go arrested. Eventually, the guilt VP was charged and sentenced to a couple of years in San Quentin. He now has a YouTube channel and came out with a book about his time in prison. Edit. Couple of months in SQ, not years. Thank you for watching. Write comments, put likes, Do not forget to watch other videos.